Welcome to Formnext 2023. Welcome to our live stream here in Frankfurt from the exhibition ground in Hall 11 D72. I'm very happy that you are here with me in our live stream, and I'm very happy that you are here with me at our booth covering the topics Morning Talk. What did we have yesterday? Yesterday was full packed. It was good information, with a lot of information. We had the topic sustainability. We had the partner countries here on stage, and we had some outlooks where the market is going, and we had some concerns about how what do we do to have to doing a lot of work in the offices because of regulations, because of certifications, but maybe that could be the one or the other goal. And now today in the morning talk, we have some experts here and some insiders from the first day of Formnext. I'm very happy to have you both here. Lotz, you are President EMEA of Renishaw, Exhibitor and Chairman of Formnext Advisory, and Markus Heering, VDMA Managing Director, Trade Association and Working Group Additive Manufacturing. Good to have you here, and you're looking not so tired, I must say. Sven, what do you think? We already have the third day of the exhibition, and they both look so good. I can't understand it.
I mean, they always look good. Let me put
thank
that
you very much.
I think they're
can finish.
They're pretty much more experienced than we are at Formnext. So I know they both know when to stop.
By the way, Formnext will be 10 years next year. Since when do you attend Formnext?
Actually, I can't say. Probably 2017, 2017, I think, was my first time being at Formnext.
What about you? You were founding members.
Not me exactly. So VDMA came a little bit later, but I have been also here the first one as visitor and had a look. So and I'm from beginning on following all the development of Formnext.
Well, I've been there from day one, I would say. It's pre-Formnext, obviously discussing with the Messago and the exhibition in Frankfurt what it could look like. And I think we look good because we're really excited. We're really excited how it developed and what we experienced this year.
So you don't look good, you look happy, right?
Very happy.
But I remember the time when Formnext was founded, that it was a crunch time in the field of exhibitions, not only in Germany, in Europe, let's say. And I never experienced in more than 25 years of working in that area as an editor. That was a really interesting time. And in our office, you got news, not daily news, but frequent news. Oh, okay, there are some changes in exhibition in the field, and additive manufacturing coming up. Stuttgart has founded Max then.
Yeah.
And there was this third one, Rapidtech. There's Rapidtech, and so we have a very new constellation then, and Formnext has presented itself.
I think it was a very interesting time because we had there were two scenarios, the exhibition landscape as you describe it, but we also had additive manufacturing, which was usually embedded in other trade shows, and we could see it's getting ready to get mature. To become visible.
It was like some booth in the corner or something, but it was not so presented to the audience. Right?
But then obviously Frankfurt helped also to quickly internationalize the show, and the other places you mentioned, probably more difficult to get overseas visitors, overseas exhibitors over here. And Frankfurt is obviously a very international place. It's the main hub, flying in from Asia or from Americas, and I think we could see that we see a strong internationalization. And this is also this year one of my observations, how international the exhibition is from the exhibitor side, but also the first 2 days from the visitor side. It's unbelievable international.
But let's just talk about the years after 10 years ago. I had the impression that the companies and the associations had a very clear vision of how it should be and how the topics should be divided. So there was from the first day not a competition or there's always a competition, you know, but not a competition, not a fruitless competition. There was clear. They are very good there. They have their strengths here, and we will have our strengths there. And that was a really good thing. And I think when we look around here, that worked out, right?
Yeah. And it was 10 years ago was exactly that time when we started at VDMA with additive manufacturing as one of the topics. So it's next year in May. Then we have also our anniversary, 10 years. And as you described, it was the time, so a lot of people have spoken about additive. There was, I would say, a little bit of hype in the industry about additive manufacturing. But if you look to the industry at that time, it was just a handful of suppliers. It was, and when we started, I remember there was, we had a meeting in VDMA building, room number 1, 40 participants. That was the volume, and just 3 or 4 manufacturers of OEM technology. And then some suppliers, and we said from beginning on, okay, we should, and that was similar to Formnext intention, so we should put together everybody who is involved in additive. So independent from materials, so it's polymers, it's metals, and all the other things around. And also we would like to build up the whole supply chain. So, and also research institute, users with experience, that was the intention. It's still today, the focus still today, and it's comparable to Formnext, was we would like to increase the industrial use of additive. So it should be a part of industrial production technologies in Germany, in Europe, that we reach. Now we have around about 200 members in this organization, and it's also a little bit more international, even if we are a German organization. And you can see also here it's the same.
Yeah.
A big growth, and also the intention is the same, to build up the whole value chain and integrate everybody who is part of that. So that fits together.
Yeah, Markus, you mentioned hype and the current development. What is, both of you, I mean, you have a 10-year experience in Formnext. Mine is a little bit shorter, but still, I could see, and we discussed it yesterday heavily, we are at the point that we really see this application inside the production line. I remember yesterday we had the Lego group, we had Danfoss and Grundfos from our partner region, Nordics. So we can see it now. How do you see the progress of the industry over the 10 years? Because honestly, Formnext is a reflection of this progress, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, if we look at the development, early days, a few suppliers, and the target was at the show to get the suppliers and the key decision makers on customer side together. And so when we said, okay, what is the goal here is, okay, the starting point was we cannot come with a coffee machine and a chair to the show. No, we have to show everything we have. And I have to say the industry kept word and they came with everything they have, even though the show was small. And then you could see the visitors realize that's the place to go to see the dynamic. And then when we look at it, the dynamic today, it was... now you get really very good part quality. You get measurable part quality. If you have measurable part quality, you can scale it up. You know, 10 years ago, we had to admit there are parts you can scale up, but there are many other parts, desires, we cannot scale up because of lacking quality. Today, the quality is there in all the materials you mentioned, Markus. The quality is there. And now it's about how can I handle the process when I scale it up, when I'm not doing a single prototype? No, guess what? I need 15,000 of this. How can I do it? Yeah. And this is the development, and this is the true arrival on the shop floor in manufacturing.
And where do I find the partners to deliver 15,000?
Yes.
And today you can find them.
Yes,
absolutely. In the beginning, I remember that everybody thought the classical tool machine makers, they have to go to AM. Now we see them here, and it's a growing number, but they were not the front runners, right?
No.
Yeah, but you know, at the beginning, a lot of people, but that is always the case when new technologies are coming up. A lot of people thought that will be a disruptive process for the classical production. That is not the case, for sure. So there is still a need for classical technologies with drilling, milling, and all the other points. But I believe, and that is a point where we are right now, we have an additional technology for production with a lot of strengths, with new opportunities that you can use. We now can see that quality is available, is possible in all materials. And we see the industrial use is there. But that is still the case. The manufacturers of additive technologies would like to see more, a quicker increase. And the challenge is, if we ask our members today what is the most critical point in the use of additive, 70%, more of 70% sells costs. It's a cost point. So
scaling.
That means scaling up. It's directly linked to costs, to process speed, and this have to be increased. And on the other side, a big challenge for regions, countries like Germany, like Europe, it's the same in Japan, where we had the discussion, is if you have an existing value chain and production chain, it's a real challenge to substitute some parts with new technologies. And that is what we see. We have some niches where we are really successful, aviation, aerospace, medical in some areas. Yeah. But in the mainstream of production, so mechanical engineering, automotive, this is still a challenge because that means you can't interrupt in a few steps a production chain. That means you need a complete new approach, and that is much more easier if you build up from bottom new value chains, or where I see it also nowadays in electrical vehicles, where you build up complete new production lines. You can integrate in some points easier additive.
Yeah, and faster than before.
Yes.
And what I really found interesting over the last 2 days, I mean, yesterday the main request was please scale up. So, if you want to sell more, scale up.
Yeah.
And the second,
we're ready to scale up. We're ready. So we're there at Hall 11. Come.
Go over there. Very good. Very good. So indeed, what I really found interesting is, I mean, a few years ago on Formnext, we discussed about the energy sector to replacing spare parts on site, and this is now feasible. And so we can see there is the progress. We have the success stories in the meantime, and probably this is the way. Over a lot of success stories in a smaller scale, they see how, let's say, stable the whole thing is in the meantime, plus automation, and then probably we get to the point, right?
Yeah, so I mean, cost per part is the big word, and the improvements in the cost per part are tremendous. It's unbelievable. So we're getting there. There is one big challenge we're seeing here, that in many of the processes, the cost per part is still very dependent on the skill set of the users. Yeah. Do I choose the right part? How do I design the part? How do I build the part? So, and we definitely see obviously a lacking of skill set to scale it up. We have people, they can do it, but they're not enough. And I also think we have to overthink. We're not doing enough in Europe to build this skill set fast enough to keep the value added here. You know, they might go somewhere else where you find the skill set, and this is something where we have to start to think completely outside the box. Yeah. Because I think we're all in agreement. We want to maintain creating values here, but we don't have enough skill set at the moment, and we have to develop this much faster.
That fits to one thought. I brought with us here on stage the China strategy of companies. VDMA had a handout these days. You may not know it because it was right here while the affair came out. And a lot of 86% of VDMA members, they still have confidence in Chinese market. Nevertheless, say they asked 300 members, so not all of them, just 300 members, but it's a number. They are confident in the Chinese market, but all of them are rethinking their Chinese strategy. So, and that fits to that what you thought. When there are really good people coming up, when there is a very strong business, and then the reasons here given were because of the geopolitical tensions and something like that. What we see right now in the world going on. And what do you think? What do you think there? Is it a threat for AM? Is it the same? Do you
China?
The rethinking the strategy with China.
Yeah, I guess. First of all, I have been 2 weeks ago in China for a week, visiting our office, what we have there, and also visiting some German manufacturers with our facilities in China. And that was for me the first time after COVID. And you can see the change, what happened there. you can also see the challenges what the market has, because if you're traveling around, you can see construction sites where nobody is working, so stop. The incoming orders in China, it's going down. What I see also here today at Formnext, but also in other industries, is more and more Chinese suppliers coming to Europe, try to deliver to this market, also connected to, due to the situation that the Chinese market is going down. So they have a big challenge. For me, it's always competition is always an opportunity. Also for us, that is what I see. Yeah. But we need a level playing field, equal level playing field. Yeah. So if it's not comparable, if the conditions are totally uncomparable, then it's an unfair competition. Yeah. And that is where we have to keep an eye on with China. I'm not able to answer right now that is the case or not. But always, if there is an equal level playing field, we are fine with competition. Mm-hmm. And that means on both sides. Yeah. Not just that Chinese are able to deliver to Europe, also Europeans must be able to deliver to China.
But rethinking the strategy doesn't mean there is no competition. It means I have to spend one money, and where do I invest this one money? Do I invest it in... 20 years ago, the companies, all the automotive, chemical industry, everybody went to China and said, we must be there where the growth is. Yeah. And now the rethinking for me means I have to think about where is my investment.
So we saw too much offshoring. We know that today, business offshoring to China, and it was an imbalance, you know, and you know, I don't want to point fingers, but if you look at it accurately, you know why this happened. But now we need to rebalance because of geopolitical situations. We had COVID, we had other issues in the supply chains. We need to rebalance, and rebalance doesn't mean we lose trust in the Chinese market. Of course not. You know, it's a balance, it's a partnership in the world, but we have to rebalance, and rebalance means there must be reshoring coming back to Europe of parts of the business. But to reshore, this only works, you know, when the educational system is on board. This only works if politicians, governments are on board. And currently they're not on board. You know, it's companies, it's industries, they try to reshore and they have zero support, and that doesn't work. So we have to overthink how can we come together and make this reshoring possible, balance it in a new way. And that's a definitely opportunity, like you said, for all industries, not only for additive, particularly also for additive, but for all industries.
And let me add one point. So if there are, and there are some manufacturers what have and share in their turnover with Chinese customers of 30, 40, some a few more than 40%. And that is really a risk situation. So if you have one customer as manufacturer, and this is the only one that is in risk, so it's a question of de-risking and diversification to customers, to markets, and that is always useful and sensible for manufacturers. So it's not just due to China.
Mm-hmm. But I must add, I mean, we discussed a little bit up front about our political situation here in Europe, or especially in Germany, with the missing progress in some areas to be equal in our playground. And we mention very often the education or career side of skill set we need here in Germany. And we have a panel on this later on where we discuss exactly the topic. What I say all the time is we should stop, and that's what you not did, but overall the society is blaming China for being a little bit more competitive than we are. Basically, they had at a certain point the market volume and the potential that we all said, hey, let's go to China. And we are now facing the results of this, let's say, single point strategy and need to rethink it. And I think most of us do already rethink. But in my opinion, what makes me positive for the future, at least for additive manufacturing, if it comes to technology, it is easier to reshore than probably other manufacturing systems that once implemented do have to invest tremendous costs to get back to a local production. And I think with additive, we have at least technology-wise the easy opportunity to get back to our core values.
No, absolutely. Additive is first of all, it's a fast-growing business now. Second of all, the investments can be on all levels. You know, you can start with a relatively small investment and a particular application coming, then also obviously to very complex and scale scaled up applications. So additive is really a great opportunity.
And you continuously
in
see
Europe.
new applications, new
Absolutely.
verticals here.
Yes.
We had on stage on Tuesday, we had the pharmaceutical, bioprinting, printing. They are, it's the research state. They are trying to print organs.
Yeah.
So very, very interesting applications. And we have a construction, the first construction roboter here. So that's very.
I know they love it to print organs and to print food, and that's obviously the hot stuff. But for me, it's more important when I look at Formnext at the show. In the first 2 days, you know, I saw all the aerospace companies.
We were talking about real organs, not an organ like this nice.
But I think it's a long way until we have a value which is added value to economy. Yeah. You know, this will be a long journey. I don't say we shouldn't do it. Of course, we should do it, but it's a long journey until this will add value to economy. Right. But when you look here at Formnext, the famous industries, medical, automotive, transportation, and obviously aerospace, they've been all here, and not some people, no, designers have been here because they discover more and more applications. You know, they had a single, you know, it started with the famous fuel nozzle in the engine of a plane. Today you have engines. There are 200-300 additive parts in it, and this is exciting. That and this adds value to economy. And this is really, this last 2 days, I have to say, this is why I'm smiling. Was super exciting. Super exciting.
That's what I want to mention. I mean, we have the so-called end user. Yeah. The ones that we always wanted to sell to, and they are here at Formnext.
Yes.
This is, I think, this is the most visible change, as you described, to our industry, and this is where we need to go. For
yes.
Sure.
Yeah, that is,
sorry, Markus.
I would like to add what Rainer mentioned is I would like to split always. So the industrialized additive technologies, what we have, so with metals, with polymers, and the other materials, where we have the industrial use still. And the other one is a little bit like future zones, where we speak about bioprinting. Yeah. I guess that this is a little bit future technologies, will be maybe the case. And then it's a totally different business. It's not an industrial business like we see. So, and I would like to separate a little bit and not mix it all together, because it's different technologies, of course, different materials, but also different status of technology art where we are.
Yeah, but on the bottom you see that you have to print, for example, different materials in one process, and that's very important for electronics. It's very important for medicine, and I'm totally sure when they are researching on things like that, there will come new solutions for the old ones. They are since 10, 20 years working on it. They will come along. So new brains coming to the community means there are new solutions and progress. But give me
but to that new, it's really a key element. How do we keep those new brains doing new ideas? How do we keep them here? You know, how do we make it attractive to them?
I have an idea. No, honestly, I had this yesterday when I was together in a group of, let's call it enthusiasts, old and new ones. Yes. And I mean, I came into this industry like 10 years ago as an external, nothing to do with AM, and still I would not consider myself as an expert. But what I could clearly see, once you get in touch with the technology, even if you are engineer with classic production by heart, you will be infected. And I think this is not played enough, in my opinion, because if I would be an engineer and I get in touch with additive manufacturing, I can't imagine you are not addicted right away. So this is probably something to create this enthusiasm for this industry needs to be played more, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we have to support those startups that they grow as a company here. And that they don't grow it in the US, that they don't grow it in China, that they don't grow it elsewhere. That's a key element.
Well, that's a really...
And what I see also here at Formnext is where innovation takes place. Because you see all these mixtures, these new ideas, what you mentioned, the classical people what are in traditional jobs and traditional developments, and if they meet each other, then innovation comes up.
Yeah, it's all about meetings. Thank you very much for having you here on stage. We will meet you at the exhibition fairground. We are meeting you right now at our live stream. Sven will be very busy the next minutes because he will have a lot of interesting insights here as well. A short reminder, think about giving your questions here to the audience whilst using our Slido tool. You find it when you're using the live stream or here at the booth. You find it when you're looking right here next to the booth. There is a QR code, scan it, and you can deliver your questions here to us on stage. Thank you very much again. Successful third day of Formnext, and we will meet again, and you stay tuned.